Марья, передаем вам слово.
Okay. So then I start. I hope that everyone can see my screen, can hear me. Yes?
Yes, fine.
So good day, everyone. Thank you for attending today's seminar. Today, I will talk about my recently published article on independent art spaces. Firstly, I will briefly talk about the article itself. Just briefly mention the main idea, the methods and data I used, and some basic results I get. Not go deep into the research because I just want to slightly highlight it and not focus on it. And then I will talk about the process, how I come up with the idea, how I found the data, and how I made the research itself. As I already said, after the first part, when I will talk about the research itself, I will have time for questions about the research, about the paper. And then I will go to the second part and we'll talk about the process. And after this part, I will also have the time for the question. So then let's start. And I'll start with the explaining and talking and describing my research. My research is entitled What is an Independent Art Space? Using a text mining approach to describe independent art spaces. And in the title, in the name of the article, I already put the research question. So what was the main idea of the research? I want to understand, to define an independent art space using the textual descriptions of different places, of different independent art spaces located worldwide and all around the world. To analyze this this massive of textual data, I use the text mining. Moreover, text mining allows me to perform a first quantitative analysis of these places. And then after performing the analysis and getting the results from the data, I also want to ground the results in some socioeconomic context, because firstly, I was more interested in the role of independent art spaces and its influence, their influence on the development of the places they are located. I did not put the definition of independent art spaces here because to provide a definition was the main goal of my research. Okay, and talking about the data and methods I used. To collect the description, which I analyzed in the paper, I used the source called alternativeartguide.com. This is the platform which collects information about different independent art spaces. And as already mentioned, these independent art spaces are located all over the world. So this was one of the main, I guess, advantage of my research is that I use art spaces which are located worldwide and analyze the art spaces on some macro, cross-country level. From the site, I get 1,537 descriptions. This was complete descriptions without some missing data and so on. To collect the data, I use the Selenium because I collect the data from the website. So I need some kind of scraping tool to get this data from the web sources. And the Selenium was used and was chosen. And to analyze the data, analyze the textual data, I perform frequency analysis of bigrams. Bigrams is the pair of connected words which are frequently appear in the texts. I also perform latent directly allocation. This the topic mining tool. I used the topic mining to define and grasp like the main features of independent art spaces, which we can find in the text, in the descriptions. Yes, and here the slide with a lot of texts, because because I tried to put like all of the results on one slide. So one by one. As I already said, the main question, which is highlighted in the name of article and also serves as the research question and the main goal in the research, is to understand, to give the answer to the question, what is this independent art space? And by using the frequency analysis of the textual data I have, I grasp, determine several features of these places. First of all, many independent art spaces highlighted that they are non-profit organization. They do not work for the government. They do not use like direct financing from the government, but mainly work as some non-profit organization, maybe get some funding from the donors. Also, a lot of art spaces highlight that they are self-organized and artist-run places. This means that they also do not have some head, which was chosen for them by government. It's mostly places which were created by some independent curator, or maybe the group of people or curators, and they like own this place and run this place all by themselves. Also, in the descriptions, sorry, I still have like some consequences of the flu, so I need to make a sip of tea to continue to talking. So, and also a lot of art spaces highlight that they like promote and mostly focus on some experimental and innovative art, try to rethink the mainstream culture and reorganize the existing like order in the field of arts. And another feature which is quite connected with second one is that independent art spaces promote group work, collective work, and collaboration, not only between artists, but also between the participants, between the visitors, and between the artists and visitors. A lot of art spaces highlight that they like support creativity in the activity, like they try to found and to come up with some creative practices. Moreover, a lot of spaces like highlight in their textual descriptions that they devote the activity to the research in the field of art and in the field of art and its like role in the community, maybe in the social practices and so on. So they try to understand the social role of art. Also, and it was like highlighted many times and in different forms, that independent art spaces provide public platforms for artists and for organizations. So they like provide a place where some maybe an artist or the group of people, also like some minorities, can have they provide for them a place where they can like to speak about themselves, maybe to perform some kind of a project and so on. So they provide a place for the people. for groups or just for basic like people who live here or just for people. Also, independent art spaces serves not only as places where we can see the art, but also as places where artists can create art. A lot of art spaces use in their descriptions the terms as residency, studio, and so on. So they highlight that artists not only exhibit their work here, but also make their work here. And another important feature is that the independent art spaces try to establish the connection between some local art practices and local culture and the international artists. So they build a bridge between some international artists and local art. So they try to like incorporate the global international trends, the influence of globalization into their roles, into their practices, and like create a friendship between local and international trends. Based on all these features, in the end of article, I provide the definition of independent art space. It come up quite compound and complex, but I try to put like all of discovered features into one sentence. So you can see the definition which I made on the slide. An independent art space is a non-profit artist-run organization that promotes experimental art and provides a public platform and multifunctional venue. Independent art spaces encourage cooperation and connect local, national, and international artists. This is just the basic results. I did not put here all of my tables, graphs, and so on, because it can be found in the article. And as I said, I only briefly mention the research itself, highlighting the main features. So another step was to incorporate these findings, these results into some socio-economic context and provide the discussion of the results. Like in the initial steps, like in the introduction and in the literature review, I provide some overview of independent art space, what was already written about them, and so on. And in the end, I also try to connect my findings with previous findings and maybe with some other perspectives on what I get. And as I already said, one of the main results was that art spaces, independent art spaces, is the independent places where you do not use the financial from government funding and so on. And this independence allows art spaces to experiment, to create experimental art, and so on. And if we connect independence and experimentation, we can say that independent art spaces have the possibility to drive social changes, because they can experimentate, can do some experimentation in the art, reestablish social order, and create some new trends and tendencies. Also, one of the discovered feature was the collective work and collaboration between artists. And in the work of Glazer, where he wrote about the knowledge exchange in the cities, he highlighted that this collaboration and creative work also actually quite contribute into the socio-economic development of the places, because people exchange ideas, exchange knowledge, and this help them to develop not only their ideas, but also the places there these ideas appear. And in the literature review, there I performed the overview of previously discovered features. A lot of articles highlighted that independent art spaces contribute to the community development of the places where they are located. But in my results, in my findings, I did not find the word community used very often. I think I didn't find it at all. So firstly, I thought that I cannot prove this feature that art spaces contribute to community development, but then I started to work with literature more. I understand that actually independent art spaces contribute to the community development through all of these discovered features. So this was my discussion in the end of the paper, which helped me to incorporate my findings into the brighter context. So this is all what I want to highlight about the research itself. And here, if we have questions about the paper, about the article itself, I will be glad to answer them.
Marya, thank you very much. I want to start to ask you some questions. For me, it's very interesting article and the research with your findings. I want to ask about the idea that you thought that probably you will find the results that these independent art spaces somehow connected with the development of the communities. So where you find this hypothesis in some articles or some elsewhere else, and why you think that you didn't find such a definition in your data?
Yes, thank you for the question. Actually, in the beginning, the main purpose which drive my research was to understand how independent art spaces contribute to community development, because I read a lot of articles about this, and I was sure that independent art spaces help to develop the places, the community of the places where they are located. And I cannot remember right now the authors, but I can briefly describe some of the examples, some of the articles and research, and on which I based this hypothesis. First of all, in previous studies, there was the classification of independent art spaces, and one of the class type of independent art spaces is community-centered or ethnic-specific art spaces. So there are such things like community-centered art spaces, and they help a particular community, most often some ethnic community, just to manifest themselves, to perform their culture, and so on. And on the example of some gentrification process, then the city starts to develop and go to the suburbs. Often these local communities, these ethnic communities, feel under pressure, feel devastated, and try and even can lost their culture and their cultural practices. And in this case, it was the example, I guess, of the independent art spaces in the border between US and Mexico, and the example of how independent art spaces help to maintain this Spanish-Mexican practices in the development, in the developing city in the USA. So like these authentic centers, they help like to save this culture because they, as I mentioned, give places for people to perform like their practices. So it's just one of the example about on the development of a community. They also like bond people together because people come to these places. They do together some practices. They just meet each other, and it bonds the community. So I was like, as I already said, I was quite sure what I should find the word community or something similar in my descriptions. But the word community actually was not used very often in the descriptions. And the descriptions, they serve as like not only the description of a place, but also in the descriptions, places like manifest and highlight their purposes, their aims, and so on, like what we do in our places. And the word community did not appear in this description very often. So firstly, I suppose that I did not prove like my initial hypothesis about the community development, and about like one of my hypotheses was that independent art spaces aims to like develop the community and so on. I did not find this word in the descriptions. And then when I start to prepare discussion, and then I start like to combine all of my like my features, my findings, not just when I wrote them one by one, because I just discovered, then describe, discover some feature and describe. But then in the discussion, I try to make them a complex picture. I understand that actually the word community is not mentioned because it's quite obvious. It's like so obvious what the, like in my opinion, it's like so obvious for art spaces, so they just don't use it in the description, because all of the feature, all of the aims and purposes, they source like to develop the place, to develop the community around each the community which is located around this place. I hope I answered the question. Maybe I go too far.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very, you answered in detail, because I think I probably heard something about such community spaces, but I didn't thought about it as independent art spaces. Yeah, thank you. Now I got it. It's a very interesting result. What do you think to do next with this study? Have you thought about it?
I don't know. I have already published an article. I don't know what to do next, like this study. But maybe I use some of the insights which I found like for our research, but focus more on the on the particular feature and how particular feature can help with development. So my initial goal, and actually the initial the name of the article was something like the features of independent art spaces as a key to the socio-economic development, something like that. So maybe after that I focus more on the discovered features and how they can help that and contribute to development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's nice. And I think that it can be probably profitable to make some qualitative analysis, some interviews with the representatives of these independent art spaces. So like how they define their input. So you already have a lot of findings, and just to somehow enlarge them with the with what people will tell about this. So it can be also probably next step of your research, and you can like add something new to these findings. So it's really nice. Thank you very much. It's really interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So do we have like more questions, or I can go to the second part?
I have a question, but a tiny one. A tiny one. I heard about art residence for some people from the art profession, some painters, sculptors, and others. Is this independent art space is the same as the art residence, or it's like two completely different things?
I won't tell it they're like the same, but one of the findings, one of the feature is that many independent art spaces, they combine like the gallery and the residency or studio for artists. So some of them, yes, like for some of them, yes, it's like the same. No, not the same, but they just offer the place for artists, like the residency or the studio, and also serve as a gallery. So it was one of the features of some independent spaces.
Yeah, thank you. Because my younger sister is an artist. She's a painter, and I think she is wondering to join to such art residence because they often provide all the supplies, materials, and of course there is some great opportunity to have to build a new network, to join to some community with the great painters and other people. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then I think I can go like to the main part and talk about like the process and how different parties and different occasions like were involved in the process of writing and publishing. So first of all, how I come up with the idea itself. Even before like writing this text, writing this article, I write several texts, several articles about independent art spaces for the online media. I just like work here, like volunteer here for a little, and wrote about, I guess, 2 or 3 independent art spaces. When I prepare this article, I found the data source, alternativeartguide.com, which then serve as the main source from which I get all of the descriptions. So this experience, like, which was not related like to academia at all, I just like help my friends to make their own online media. And this experience helped me to find my data source. And I guess in the year later, or maybe in the half of a year later, I saw the invitation for the scientific workshop in Italy. This invitation was posted somewhere on Facebook in the group for sociologists and so on. And I just want to go to Italy like for several days, just like why not? But in order to go to the conference, to workshop, I need like to have at least a research proposal to present during the workshop. And I started to think and like, what can I do? And as the workshop was on culture and creativity, I decided like to use the data I have. I also, while during like while writing these articles, I have some ideas and some about the common features of all of these places I have written about. And so I come up with this research question: what is common for dependent art spaces? What is independent art spaces, and so on. And also in the same year, I was in the research group at the HSU University. It is called scientific and study group. It's just a project where the students, under the supervision of some tutor, have the common project, and they work on this project, they develop in this particular field. And our project is the use of web scraping and sticks mining in social research. And we applied for the Russian Science Foundation grant. We commonly prepare the application, and we got this grant. And so I need to make research with the use of text mining methods. So, and from this grant, I have another part of research is the method. So here I have the data, I have the method, and I have the research question. Then I went to this workshop in Florence. In order to participate in the workshop, I need to complete at least a research proposal and maybe provide first results and so on. And I completed research proposal and have had the first results. It allows me to present at the conference, at the workshop, and discuss the project and get first feedback from researchers in the field. And for me, it was really important to get the feedback, especially from the researchers in the field. Because when I present this research, this idea in my study group, we work with the same methods, but we worked with completely different research ideas, completely different fields. So we can understand and maybe provide a feedback on the methods used, but we cannot help each other with some understanding how it's relevant, how our research is relevant in the field itself. And then I went to this workshop, which was not about the methods, but about the arts, creativity, and so on. And I get first feedback. And I understand that, yes, maybe there's something interesting. People told me yes, there are some good ideas. It was really the first draft. So yes, there was a lot of garbage, a lot of mess, but they say yes, there's a lot of great ideas and you can use them. And also I recommend to focus on some literature and just to get acknowledged with a little bit more literature. Then I came home back to Moscow. I continued to work in the research group. We continued to discuss this project, but as I said, they didn't get the idea, and they didn't know anything about independent art spaces, so they could not help me with that. And as a part of the research group, we applied to the conference. And in this time, this conference was not on the art, but conference was about the text mining, about the methods of data collection from the internet, about how we can analyze this data and so on. So in order to prepare like the abstract for the conference, I need like to work more accurately with the methods. And it was like one of the pros of the applying for this conference. I got rejected. I didn't attend this conference, even it was online, but I get also very important feedback. And this feedback was from the professionals, but from other field, from the field of methods. And one of reviewer wrote that this work is more for, is worth to apply in some thematical journal. So it's not work on the methods, but it's like quite interesting work on the art. So I need to apply to some like conference or journal in the field of art and culture. And is in this point, I decided that yes, I will apply to the journal. I will submit this article to the journal on the field and not on the field of text mining, because it is more relevant here, and it is like was like a very, very great decision, I guess. Yes, and then when I got rejected, I anyway need to write the text, because when you work on the research Russian Science Foundation grant, you have like to report about your about what you did, what you done, and what you plan to do, and about the article you publish. And in the end of the project, in the end of the grant, you need to submit and report the article. And this need fostered me to write, even though I didn't love to write, and it was like some kind of torture for me. But I need to write, and I have like very strict deadlines that by the middle of the summer I need to submit. Not to submit, but already have article submitted, already have article under review at least. So even though I didn't want to, I write. And these deadlines like helped me like to write, because even if I didn't have this Russian Science Foundation grant, I definitely won't complete this work, because I don't have like enough motivation, I guess, and I do not like this work. I think that I can do like better, and this like work is not good, but I need to submit it because I have like to report to the grant. Also, as already mentioned, I working in research collective, and here we also need to report our activity. So this like constant need to report, to like submit something, helped me like to complete this work. Also about writing, but I used the help from Academic Writers Center in the HSU University, but it was mostly after I get the first revision. So maybe I will talk about this like a little bit later. So then I have the first draft of the text, which actually I did not like at all, but I need to prepare, submit something in order to like complete these deadlines and complete this grant and just get rid of this and so on. As already said, I decided that it should be the journal in the field. And for my field, for field of this paper, it was the field of art. Also, I like check the reference I used in the article, like just to understand like which journals are the journal in the field. And also, I used the advice from our supervisor, Valentina Viktorovna, who always told us what we firstly need to submit our paper, no matter how good or bad it is, into the Q1 journal. As I did not care at all about my paper, I did not care like if I got rejected from Q1, Q2, and Q3, and so on. I decided okay, I will submit to Q1, get rejected from there, but at least I have submitted something. Also, I have another criteria to use to choose the journal, and it is the frequency of issued volumes, because in this case, you can understand how soon, how quicker your research will be published at all, do the journal work at all, and so on. So the frequency was another indicator for me. And also I checked the articles in the journal to understand how my paper, how my manuscript fits into the journal. And the choice of journal is very important because for some journals, even in Q1, your research may be irrelevant, but for other journals in Q1, your research may be like just what they needed. So I spent a month or two just to find the journal where I want to submit this article, and I use this criteria. After I get the decision about the journal, I submitted it and started to wait. As I already told, I did not care at all about this. I did not like my paper. I just need to submit something to complete the deadlines for the Research Science Foundation grant. But then it turns out that my paper is actually quite good, and the reviewers, they loved my work. I get a lot of great comments. I was very surprised. I remember it was May and we were in Varnava. Yes, and I get the first review. Actually, I was surprised when I didn't get rejected in the first place, and then my paper was sent to the review. It was first surprise, but then I get really great and really helpful and wise and encouraged comments from reviewers from the journal of Q1. I was very surprised. And briefly about the comments, because there was a lot of comments, good and not bad, but about some disadvantages of the research and about the advantages. First of all, both of the reviewers mentioned the relevance of the research idea, not only for the journal, but for the field itself. Because in my research, I highlighted that I provide first qualitative analysis of art spaces, and both reviewers told that if this is true, this is the first analysis, quantitative analysis of art spaces which they saw. Also, they highlight the novelty of the methods for the field, because in the field of art, social science, but mostly on the field of art, not a lot of researchers use this text mining, web scraping, and so on methods. Also, I get that I have a lot of very vulnerable and extensive work with literature, because I don't like to write, but I like to read. So I really overview a lot of paper in the field to prepare the theoretical framework for my research. And also both reviewers mentioned the potential of a paper to make contribution to the field, and they both encourage of the editor of a journal and me to make changes, like they require some changes, not minor but major changes, but to make these changes and submit the article for the second round of review. And about the disadvantages that they think that the reviewers did not like in the work. First of all, they told about the lack of incorporation of results into existing discussion. And of course, they were right, because I just wrote the results, then I provide some kind of discussion in the first draft. I write the results, then provide like brief discussion. It was not discussion, but just one paragraph on the limitation of research. And then I put like the conclusion, just once again, highlight the results. Just maybe some basic structures for Russian papers. So they told me, they both told me what I need to incorporate my findings into some discussion to prepare, maybe to work with it a little bit more. Yes, so I need a little bit more reference in some part of the paper and the discussion as well. As I already told, they did not like the structure of the paper, so they wrote me how should I restructure the paper, what I should put limitations in the introduction, but not in the end of the research, what I need to make the discussion, and the discussion should be like one of the main part of my paper. And of course, they did not like the grammar and clarity of language, because I wrote like the article just by myself. I did not use, first, I did not use like any help. I just like, just use my own skills. But after I get the first review, and then I understand that I need to continue to work with this text to prepare this text for publishing, because it's possible to publish this text in Q1. And in this stage, I use the help from Academic Writing Center. Then I perform all of the most of my major changes. I go to the consultation into obviously in HEC University, and they help me with grammar and with the language, like to make my rules and so on. And I submit the article for the second round, and then I get like a little bit more comments. And these comments were mostly on language. So here the reviewers were really happy with the changes I performed, but they suggest me to work with language, with paper a little bit more. So I firstly perform like these minor required changes when I work with writing in the text by myself, and I once again use the help from Academic Writing Center to polish the research. But in this point, in this consultation, the expert told me that the paper is already quite good. Just we go through some minor things, and then I submit paper. Actually, after second, when I get the decision on the second review, it was already told that after I perform these changes with language, the article will be published, so without like need for like third circle. So I just write and rewrite and polish the text once again, and then got accepted and published very quickly, like in the online format at this point. So that is all for the second part. And here also, if you have like questions, I will be glad to answer these questions.
if I may, if I may start, Marya, thank you very much for this really great explanation about the process, and I was enjoying to listen it. And really, I would advise to listen to your speech to many our young colleagues, and not only young, but everyone who is interested in publishing in journals, and we are all interested in it. But thank you very much for this honest description of the process. So it's really great to hear that, yes, of course, sometimes we lose our motivation, but there are deadlines. There are these times when we have to give reports. So we have to force ourselves to finish some texts, then to work with them, and then to polish, and then to publish in Q1. So this is really a great example of scientific work, and I really congratulate you with this result. So that's great. That's great, and we are very happy for you. And I also liked your idea about like first motivation, that you'd like to visit Florence. So it's such a nice way to go. So you, of course, you will see something else. You will visit great events. So you will talk to the people who understand something understand a lot in the topic that you're working on, that they will help you and give advice. And I think that it's always nice to have in mind that it's not, so you just need to try. So what I like in this story is that you just see some opportunities, and you just go to them, and then you get results. And it's also very nice that you decided to enter this Q1 journal, so that as our scientific advisors always suggest, that we just should not be afraid to send our articles to the best journals. So we should be proud of our work, and that's great that you did it. And because sometimes I think many researchers tend to think that their work is not that great, so it's impossible to publish in such journal. And yeah, so I think that your speech really gives a lot of motivation to all of us. So that's really great. And I wanted to ask about your experience of participating in this workshop. So what were the comments of the people who attended there? Like, did you change many things in your project afterwards, and so on?
First of all, thank you for the speech as well. Yes. What the conference give me is that, first of all, yes, I changed the topic of the research, because I understand that in the initial form, as already said, initially I want to concentrate on the connection between these discovered features and the social economic development and so on. So how independent art spaces contribute to social economic development, which that was my first goal, my first aim. But then I understand that this aim cannot be solved, because I have a lot of findings, but they did not tell me anything about the connection between art spaces and development. They just tell me what is the independent art spaces. And the comments in the conference, they mainly was about the methods. Everyone was interested in the web scrubbing, how I use it, how I use text mining and so on, because actually I suppose that in Russia, always this method in social science, in social sciences, more developed, and we more commonly and often use them than people maybe in Europe and so on. So I got a lot of comments about how I use it, how I collect the data, how I perform the analysis of text mining, and also I get a little bit about because in this point, my research was not like structured as good as it was in the end. I didn't like get a lot of like understanding maybe of, I just like give them all of my results and get like some feedback mostly about the theoretical literature that I can use. But it helped me to understand that I need to change the focus of my research and to try to solve the problem that I cannot solve, and to answer how dependent spaces contribute to economic development in the like using my data. But instead of this, the results I have, like this discovered features, they can serve as results like just on their own. And it's interesting to define independent art spaces and put the provision of a definition as the main goal.
Yeah, that's great. I think sometimes, as I remember, for example, for myself, when you see that there are so many professors on such workshops and people who are for a long time in the field, and you become really frightened by them, just by their names. But then when you are there, so you you overcame your frightening, and you talk to them. And I think that these workshops can really give a lot of hints how to probably put a theoretical frame better, because of course these people really knows they're in the field. And as we are working, for example, as you were saying that you were working mostly with the methods, and so that's why it is difficult to just dive into the field very fast. So it's great to have this people who can give nice advice. So that's
yes,
really
actually
nice.
it's true, because like in the first review, one of the main disadvantages of the work, which was highlighted by the reviewers, and this I didn't provide like a discussion of my results. And for me, it was really hard because I'm not from the field of art. I'm mostly like sociologist, so I need to go to a completely different field and understand how we can use this field and the theory from this field to incorporate into to put my results, to ground them. It was really hard because I need to work a lot with literature, but I did not use a lot of theoretical literature. I used mostly the empirical research on the art spaces. So it helped me to provide a discussion, even though I do not from this field, I don't belong to this field.
Mm-hmm. And also I wanted to say that I also very much liked in your presentation that, and in the whole process in general, that you were not afraid also to say that something was not successful, so that you applied for the conference, you were not accepted, and you also see it as a, you also managed to get some profit out of even this unsuccessful story, let's say.
Actually,
so that's something that
this
is very valuable.
This rejection was very useful because they didn't just reject my abstract, but they wrote to me why it isn't relevant for their conference. And when they wrote me why it was relevant, I understand that it's relevant, but for another field. So I should not try to submit to this field. I should not try another field. And yes, it's this rejection was very, very useful, even though it was rejection.
Yeah. But probably in such a conference, the organizers are searching for some new methods or something, new developments. But when you apply methods which are already existed, so probably that's why it's not really so much interesting for them. So they're searching for something else. But they do not mean that your work is bad, but they just say that it's out of the scope of what they're searching for, and they give advice. And so I think that we all should remember this, that even if you get so if you fail, so you do not, you are not accepted. Anyway, you give, you get reviews, and if you are intended to work further, so you just use these reviews and you just make your work even better. So great of you. I think you had really good, how to say, state of mind to work on this.
Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't understand how much different occasions are involved in this article before I started to prepare for this presentation today, and understand that yes, it all started like even like in the time I was like just writing for my friends. It actually all started here, and when it was like grant, then one conference, then another conference, and then I just combine all with this picture when I prepare for today's presentation. I understand like, yeah, actually like there's a lot of different things that we can use to can prepare a path for us to publish.
Actually, I remember something similar with my PhD thesis. So when I was also presenting the project in the lab, probably I started to, so I wanted to see how it all came up. And I understood that really there is a path with a lot of points, important points, some meeting with some people, some, I don't know, some article that you suddenly found. And then it really come up with a nice picture, with a nice result. So yes, it is hard working and also success, and also, yeah, just to be successful. I'm sorry, I just forgot. I mean, I cannot remember the right word, but I think it is understandable. So that it is a combination.
Yes.
And luck. I wanted to say luck. Yes.
So, do we have like more questions or comments and so on?
Yeah, dear colleagues, probably you can share also some of your successful stories, kind of the same kind.
Marya, I can also add my congratulations to you with the publication in Q1 journal. It's a very nice nice work and a great process, and also as it was said, you it's very great that you think about your rejects and failures in positive ways. So yeah, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
So if there are no questions, so what can you say to the further just what is happening to me? I'm sorry. So the researchers, the young researchers who will come after you, because now you already, you're a scientist.
Yes, like
you have the article in Q1, so now you're not young researcher.
Then I got like the reviews, and like when I got any letters from the I forgot how this word also from a journal, and from like they often refers to me as Dr. Marья Воробьева, even though I didn't mention once that I am a doctor, because I'm not a doctor, but they continue to write Dr. Marья Воробьева and so on. I guess like maybe the main idea and like the main thing I want to highlight, there are a lot of important things I want to highlight from this story, but I guess the main is that we cannot like expect or not expect, we cannot like assume any results when we're working, because then I work, I think that my paper is very bad. I did not like it at all. I think that the idea is bad, it's not relevant. I just think that this paper cannot be like published in any ways, but I just need to submit it. And then it turns out the paper is quite good. So I think like maybe the main thing I want to say is that if we have something, like if we have some text, some article, some idea, if we think that it's interesting for us, even though we didn't get like the results, the perfect results, anyways, we need to submit it, because when we work with our research, we can like underestimate ourselves and think like we can do this better because like we know more about our paper. But then we submit it to the people and they look at like this like at the first sight. They like have really like different perspective on our paper, and they can think that this paper actually is good. So even if we think that our paper is bad, but we have it, we need to submit it. That's all.
Yeah, great words. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of limitations in each research. So it's kind of difficult to present the research which will not have any ideas how to make it better. But we should understand what is the level of this, like when it is quite good. So then we should already try to publish it, and probably staying on these results, we can go further. Like coming back to the question that I was asking you after the first part.
Yeah, that even if we think that the research is bad, we should publish, like should at least submit it like anyway. And also I think like it's very important, and like based on this experience, that is the right choice of a journal, the right choice of a field, because I highlighted like several times that the choice of a journal and the field like was like the main cause why I was published, because I chose the right field and the right journal, and for this journal my article was relevant.
Actually, I forgot to mention it. I also liked the hint that you gave about looking at the journals where the papers that you read are published, and then you look at these journals and then you choose the one. So it is very nice advice as well.
Thank you. So I guess if we don't have more questions, maybe I can stop.
Aruna wanted to say something, I guess.
Yeah, I can maybe add just a comment that your story is very motivating, because I have like 2 desk rejects for now, and I think this seminar and your story inspired me to find this right journal and also check my references and check where these articles which I read are published. So yeah, this is very helpful advice. So thank you.
Thank you. If you're published, I expect to see my name in the acknowledgements.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, okay. It was nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed our seminar today.
Thank you. So then, goodbye, I guess.